can't really think of anything specific. We had a nice boat trip in Finland, actually.
Really?
A few years ago, yeah. We went out on a boat and went swimming, and it was very, very cold, but it was very nice and very beautiful, you know.
Yeah, kind of a different experience for you guys, anyway.
Well, it is. I mean, England's quite cold, but obviously going up further north, it's a whole different experience. But, you know, in England, when it's cold, it's not particularly beautiful, you know. And I think there's other areas of the world that are, you know, the sort of cold climate kind of becomes quite romantic, you know.
Yeah.
And I find that in places like Finland. So, you know, it's a cool place. You know, I think when we played in Finland on Absolution, you know, we were playing in a really, really small club or a theatre or something like that. And then, you know, you don't come back for about 2 years or 3 years, and then you come back, and all of a sudden you're playing in a big arena. And it's hard to understand why, you know. You know, sometimes we sort of think to ourselves, well, you know, last time we came here, we played to, you know, 2,000 people, and now we're playing to 10,000 people, and then in the summer it's 20,000 people, and it is very, very unusual because obviously we don't really see what's going on in these countries. We sort of come in, do a show, and then we leave, and we don't go back for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And obviously things happen whilst we're away. You know, I guess songs are played on the radio, and all of a sudden, you know, this kind of fan base appears out of nowhere, and it kind of seems quite disproportionate, really, to the amount of times that we've been there. But it's obviously a great thing, and it's always a nice surprise, you know, when, you know, places that, you know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, like Finland, where we were absolutely nothing, and now all of a sudden we can do these great, huge gigs on our own, you know. So it's amazing for us, you know. It's always nice to be able to play to lots of people everywhere, but, you know, it's not something that you ever expect to be able to do, you know. And we're very, very lucky that after, you know, 12 years or 10, 11 years since our first album, the band is still on the way up, you know, which is great because it feels like the band is playing at a very high level now. And it's nice to be playing at a very high level, but knowing that the band is still growing, you know, and that there's still people out there that are learning about the band and getting into us. You know, I think that's quite unusual, you know, because a lot of bands, when they get up there, you know, once you're up there, you start to come back down, you know, and that's not happened to us yet. So we kind of just appreciate everything that we have, you know, and we know that we're in a very lucky situation, and we don't know how long it will last. But, you know, we're just enjoying it while it's there, you know. And, you know, we love playing live. We love playing to lots and lots of people. And hopefully, you know, it will keep growing. You know, I don't know how much more it can grow. I don't know, you know. There's, you know, I don't know if we'll ever get to the U2 level where, you know, we can play stadiums everywhere in the world. I mean, it would obviously be very, very nice. But I don't think there's many bands that ever really get to the top, you know. So, you know, we're very happy where we are, and, you know, if it carries on to grow, then that would be amazing.
Which country has the most intense fan base?
Most intense fan base.
Yeah.
Japan's quite intense. But I think the Japanese audience is intense for every band. You know, every band that does well in Japan, you know, all have intense fans. But I guess for us specifically, I'd probably say France, actually. I'm not really sure why, but we got very big in France very, very early on. And we didn't really know why. You know, France was bigger than England, it was bigger than the rest of Europe, and even now today, you know, I think the album after being out for six months is still in the top 5 in the album charts in France. And, you know, every time we go to France, we sort of get treated like superstars over there. Which is quite intense, you know, because it's so much more than everywhere else. You know, everywhere else the band is very, very big, but, you know, people like us for the music, and they don't see us as celebrities or anything like that. In France, it seems very, very different. You know, they are so into the band, it's unbelievable. You know, and the fans over there, they are very, very intense. And yeah, when we play live, the crowd reaction is always very, very strong over there.
Has there ever been a situation where it's really gone over the top, that you've actually been afraid of your fans?
I don't think so, no. I don't think we've ever been afraid. You know, we've never had anyone that crazy that it's become... you know, you get a few people that follow you around and things like that, but, you know, nothing... I don't think there's anybody that's been really intrusive or invaded our privacy or anything like that. You know, it's... you know, you kind of expect that there's going to be a certain level of that when you're in a successful band.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I don't like, because it's something that I used to do when I was fans of bands when I was younger. You know, when I used to go to gigs and I used to hang around and wait for autographs, and things like that. So, it's not a bad thing, but, we've not had any crazy stalkers who've tried to kill us because they love us so much,
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, no, not yet.
If you were to trade places with any celebrity, who would that be and why?
Trade places with any celebrity. Wow. It'd probably have to be a footballer. When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a footballer. I'd probably say David Beckham. I'd like to swap with David Beckham so I could play for England and be a well-respected footballer, but without posh.
If you were stranded on a desert island, who would you rather have there with you, Matt or Dom?
Matt or Dom? That's a very tricky one because, wow, Dom's quite practical. So if you need to build a fire or build a shelter or something like that, Dom would be really, really good at doing that. Matt, I don't know. Christ, because Matt's really good at stuff like that as well. But Dom's the only one in the band that I think probably owns a toolkit. So he's really good at fixing stuff. So if we had to build a boat to get off the island, or we had to build a shed or a shelter, Dom would probably be the one that could do it the best. So purely for practical reasons, I would probably take Dom.
Okay.
As long as he didn't have a drum kit with him,
He'd probably build one anyway.
But I'd like to take Matt so we could play music together. So it's very, very difficult. It's a very difficult choice. But if it was purely for survival, I'd probably take Dom.
Are you planning on doing a documentary or a live DVD of the Resistance tour?
I think so. Yeah. We're constantly talking about it, and we've always got a guy with us who is always filming us, messing around, and all the sort of behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. And we have tons and tons and tons of this stuff, and a lot of times it doesn't really get used. We did a little documentary-style thing for Hullabaloo. And other than that, all you ever really see is the odd clips that come up on the website and things like that. So we sort of said it'd be quite a nice thing to make a DVD for this album that wasn't just about one gig. Because when we did Absolution, the DVD was for Glastonbury, and when we did Black Holes, it was all based around the Wembley gigs. So, it'd be really nice to sort of film all the gigs that we've been doing on this tour, and kind of compile them all together with lots of footage of what we've been doing in the particular places that we're playing, kind of almost like a bit like sort of what Nirvana did with Live Tonight Sold Out, where it wasn't just about the gig, it was about them goofing around and doing whatever. So yeah, there's definitely plans to do something. I think maybe after the summer when we've done all the stadium shows and we've done all the parks, then obviously all of the big gigs will be filmed, and then we'll have the material to start putting something together. Hopefully a song from each country, which would be very, very difficult to do because I think on the last album we went to 50 countries or something like that. So it'd be very, very difficult to get everywhere in there, but hopefully we'll be able to do a DVD that has a little glimpse of everywhere we've been.